Hi everyone, thank you very much for making the time to join us tonight. My name is Jack and I'm the Regional Network Lead for the Southeast Regional Network. Unfortunately, our host Abdul Moyes, who is the CPD Events Lead, couldn't join us tonight. As always, life gets in the way, so you lovely people are stuck with me. Um, the session will last for about an hour. It'll be about 45 minutes of knowledge sharing, followed by a bit of a Q&A session. Following the webinar, the slides will be put onto APM's, I believe it's SlideShare account, and the webinar will count as an hour towards your CPD. Today, we are luckily joined by Nick Fewings, who is an advisory council member of the Harvard Business Review, the author of bestseller Team Lead Succeed, team development specialist, creator of the team dynamics model, international keynote speaker, and co-founder of our team Synergy. Nick has over 30 years of experience and passion for teamwork and team building, which has very recently sort of resulted in a model being named after himself, which is the Fewings High Performance Teamwork Model. I think without further ado, not to take off any more time, over to you, Nick.
Okay, great. Thank you. What an introduction, Jack. Absolutely love that, and didn't realise I'd done so much over 32 years. So I'm just going to share my screen now and take you on a bit of a learning journey. So first of all, I'd like to say thank you ever so much for inviting me to attend this webinar, and it's lovely to see so many APM members from all different parts of the UK joining it. Just a health warning to start off with in terms of this webinar. Don't take photos, don't take videos. Of course, do it. It's encouraged. This is your webinar, so if there's any slides that I share on the screen, feel free to take screenshots of them. But as Jack said, you'll get a full copy of the slides being sent out to you in due course. Bit of background about myself in terms of my passion for supporting APM and APM members. As you can see on the left-hand side, I have spoken face-to-face in-person events at every one of the UK branches, and a number of them more than once. Equally, I've spoken at various APM SIGs, undertaken webinars, and had the joy a few years back of doing some individual team development work with the APM staff at their HQ in Princess Riseborough. And the other things that I've done to support APM members is I've written various articles that have been published in Project, and currently I'm writing a how-to guide about teamwork for APM. So I've got a real passion for supporting APM and APM members, because project management is dear to my heart. So on the first slide, you may have seen that I call myself a teamworkologist, and that's a person who studies the dynamics of teamwork, and I use this knowledge to help other teams become more effective and more efficient and achieve greater success. Because I don't want this to happen to teams where we work together and actually create collective incompetence. And there's a bit of a story behind that I'll share with you in a moment. So my challenge tonight is I've been studying teamwork for 32 years. I've worked with thousands of individuals, hundreds of teams, and I've spoken at over 500 conferences, webinars, and podcasts worldwide. So my challenge today is to get 32 years into 45 minutes. And hopefully, if my practice has been good enough, we'll achieve that and also have time for questions at the end. One of the things that is really important to me and is at the heart of everything I do is the fact that whether you're in a project team, whether you are in an operational team, whether you're part of a leadership team, at the end of the day, people matter most. And that's driven my passion for teamwork over the last 32 years. And before I got into project management, I was actually in an operational team, and I was a technical expert in an operational team. And operational teams, we've got stability, continuity, regularity. Whereas when I first led my first project team, totally different ball game. Unpredictability, complexity, uncertainty. And the analogy I make is, as you can see with this image with the sea, is that operational teams, they navigate charted waters, so they know what's there. Usually there's not many surprises that happen with operational teams. Totally different with project teams. You're out there, you're exploring, you're expanding the horizon. So personally, I think project management and project management teams, those teams that deliver projects, I think is one of the toughest jobs in business to do. It can be one of the scariest jobs to undertake, but it can be really exciting, and you can achieve great success with those projects that you deliver. So hats off to you in terms of being in that world of project management. And as I mentioned, 32 years ago, after being in an operational team, I became what's called an accidental project manager. So I'll explain what that is. Basically, I was a technical expert in an operational team. I basically looked after myself. I had my goals, my objectives, my responsibilities, and I was good at what I did. So year after year, I exceeded contract. And then I got to that glass ceiling where I could go no further in terms of my promotion. So, because I'd studied project management, somebody said, okay, there's a project that needs to be done. We're going to put together a team, and we want you to lead that project team. And I said, well, what about training how to lead a team? And they said, no, it's literally two weeks to hand over your job to somebody, and then 2 weeks to hand over and take over the project team to get yourself sorted out. So I became one of the statistics, and the Charge of Management Institute and YouGov last year did a survey, and they said that 82% of managers who enter management or leadership positions haven't had any training on how to lead a team beforehand. A frightening statistic. And I thought I'd just test that out with the project management community to see how that stacked up. And the surveys I completed, they've been completed on LinkedIn. They were completed in August of this year. And we can see here in terms of project leadership, 2 out of 3 project leaders have had no training or development on how to lead a team before taking up their role. So slightly less than the Chartered Management Institute statistics, but still frighteningly high. 66% of project leaders have had no training on how to lead a team. And that surprises me. Over the years, I hear organisations actually lauding their staff and also their project teams, and I hear this time and time again from various organisations in the UK. And you may have seen or read these before. It may be something that your organisation mentions, and it's all about people. So organizations are saying, yeah, people are at the heart of everything that we do. Our success is down to those people. They are what bring us achievement and success. However, is that reality or is that just rhetoric? Personally, based on my experience, I believe a lot of it is rhetoric. I think it's just easy things to say to people, easy things to share on social media. And personally, I don't believe that organizations provide the appropriate learning or the tools to enable their teams to succeed, especially project teams. And I don't know whether this actually pans out in terms of some of the statistics that have come out from APM recently, because according to surveys by APM, up to 50% of projects failed to meet their original goals or business intent. So something somewhere is going horribly wrong. So I'm going to share with you some ideas, thoughts, hints, and tips in terms of what you can do within your teams to help you achieve success, help you get those projects over the line, and to make sure that you achieve the goals and the responsibilities that you're faced with. So, in terms of my experience, learning, studies, the first foundation of high performance teamwork is basically knowing who is in your team. Now, in terms of who is in your team, it's not just about knowing people's names, it goes a little bit deeper than that. And first of all, we've got to understand what two high level skills each and every one of us brings to a team. So I would bring the same high level skills as everybody else on this webinar. And the two high level skills that we each bring to a team is we bring our technical skills, and secondly, we bring our people skills. And there's been lots of research in terms of which of these two provides the greatest opportunity for success. And you may be surprised at these percentages. In all the research, it said that people skills account for 85% of our success, technical skills 15%. And in actual fact, when I saw these statistics, I started to think about myself, my daily activities, and I started to actually jot down in 15-minute chunks what I was doing throughout my day. And lo and behold, when I looked at what I was doing, the majority of the time I spend on a daily basis is interacting with people. It's writing emails, it's being on the phone, it's doing webinars, it's Zoom calls. So if you did a similar activity, I'm sure you will find that the majority of your time relates to relationships and utilizing your people skills effectively. So technical skills are things that we've learned on the job to get our job done. So it could be that you're an accredited project manager. It could be that you have a degree in contract law. It could be that you're an absolute whiz on Excel so that you can use those skills to do analysis and understand statistics relating to your project. So technical skills, we've either learned them before we come into the job or we learn them whilst we are on the job. And in terms of technical skills, we can find this information in a number of different places. We can find it from people's CVs, because on our CVs, we put down what our technical skills are. We may need to actually check out people's CVs because we know that some people will embellish the truth. But certainly that is a starting point to find out information about somebody's technical skills. We can also look at the certificates. Yeah, what certificates of achievement have they got in terms of those technical skills? Also, we can use HR records. We can look at the courses that people have been on while whether they're in-house courses or external courses. But we can find that information hopefully on the HR records that our organisations hold. And the other thing that we can do, quite simply, we can talk to people, or we can shadow them. You know, if somebody says they've got a particular skill, we can sit down beside them and say, show me, you know, show me, give me a demonstration of what you can do. So technical skills, lots of different ways we can find out that information about our colleagues, which is really, really important in terms of your teamwork. And the second thing we need to understand is people skills. And this is where I'm going to start to share my journey from being an accidental project manager to what I do now as an international teamworkologist. So back in 1992, when I became an accidental project manager, I wanted to understand what I needed to do to lead a team effectively and efficiently. So the first thing I did was study behavioral psychology to understand what made me tick, but also what made people tick in the team that I was leading, and how I could harness the diversity of people skills that were available within the team. So 1992, I studied behavioral psychology. I studied the psychology of a Swiss psychologist called Carl Gustav Jung. Now, it's interesting, again, statistically, that based on these polls that I've done recently, only 50% of project teams use personality behavioral profiling to understand the people skills of their team. But understanding behaviors and people skills is really valuable, whether you're a team member or a team leader, because it stops miscommunication, and it stops bad relationships because you start to understand people better. And again, a frightening statistic that 50% of UK workers, when they leave a job, it's due to a bad relationship with their boss or their colleague. So if we can understand people better, we can reduce that horrible happening there. So as I mentioned, I studied the psychology of Carl Jung, and most behavioral studies always lead back to the work of Carl Jung. As I said, Swiss psychologist. And he recognized that people were all different. And the reason that they were different was because they had different psychological preferences. And he identified three pairs of preferences. So the first two he talked about was introversion and extroversion, and that's where we get our energy from. They both have their roots in Latin. Vertare, the end of the word vertare is to turn. Intro is within, so introverts get their energy from within themselves. Extra is outer, so extroverts get their energy off other people. Really important to know when we're working in teams, because it impacts on communication, team meetings, and collaboration. Then the second preference, the pair of preferences he talked about, was how we make decisions. Some people make decisions based on facts, data, objective. So it's about ticks in the box. So they have a preference for making decisions from a thinking preference. And then other people, they make decisions more subjectively. They base their decisions based on feelings, emotions, and relationships. And finally, the third pairing is sensing and intuition. And that's how we make reality of the world around us. Sensates make reality of the world by facts and information they already know. People who are more intuitive, they create stories and come up with imaginative ideas about the future and what can be done. And we have all these three pairs of preferences within us, as I said, that make us unique. And we can do all of them. However, just like you write with either your left or right hand, we'll have a preference. So for instance, my preferences are extroversion. I love working with other people. I have a feeling preference, so sometimes I will make decisions based around people's feelings and relationships. And I'm very creative, so I'm intuitive. I'm always looking forward and looking for possibilities of what things can happen in the future. And when I work with teams or undertake webinars or speak at conferences, uh, sometimes I'll start with this, which is very top level. We can associate adjectives with these different behavioral preferences. So I thought I'd share these adjectives with you, and it may be that you can make a note of your preferences. So just think about who you are naturally, read the adjectives in each of the 4 quadrants, and then just make a note of which adjectives resonate most with you, down to the ones that resonate least with you. So I'll give you a couple of moments to do that. As I said, there's no right or wrong in this. It's just who we are and what our strengths in people skills are. So the red is competitive, decisive, determined, strong-willed, purposeful driver. The yellow is sociable, dynamic, demonstrative, enthusiastic, expressive, persuasive. The green is caring, sharing, encouraging, patient, relaxed, and amiable. And then the blue, the introverted, thinking, cautious, precise, deliberate, questioning, formal, and analytical. So hopefully you've had a few moments to actually write down what you think your preferences are. So you should have the 4 letters for the colors that is shown on screen. So as I mentioned, my colors, I start off with yellow, my secondary is green, my tertiary is blue, and my least is red. Really important to know as not only a team member, but also as a leader. And the importance is because they all add value to your team in different ways. So the red I call the strategist, and it's about results focus. It's about keeping an eye on what the goals of the team are, what our purpose is. The yellow, the communicator, is about persuasion, optimism, engagement, often very, very creative. They like verbal communication and they like interaction with other people. The green, I call the diplomat, very supportive, listening, very good listeners. They are very loyal, and they are very good at keeping touch with customers and stakeholders to make sure that they're happy with what's going on in the project. And last but by no means least, that blue is what I call the analyst, and they love to dig into data, facts, information, plans. Wonderful at spotting risks. So they all add value in different ways, and based on who you are, you will add value to your team in different ways. So the red, it's about be quick, be positive, be done. So it's about moving things, getting things moving forward. That yellow is about including me. That yellow energy likes to be included in different teamwork with different teams. The green, their motto, appreciate me. They like to be appreciated for the value that they add to the team. And then the analyst, give me the facts and the detail. That's what they want to understand. And there's loads of behavioral profiling tools out on the marketplace, and most of them these days, you go online, you complete an evaluator. It will produce a graphic which shows you what your preferences are. It shows you how extroverted or introverted you are, how much of a feeling preference you've got, how much of a thinking preference you've got. fantastic in terms of your own personal development. And all I would say to you, if you don't use behavioral profiling and you're looking to do so, the key thing is, before you make any decisions, check out the British Psychological Society. They have a list of those profiling tools that have been validated. And that's really important. You know, you can get cheap and cheerful on the internet, but it may not do what it says on the tin. So, whatever you do, make sure that you go to the British Psychological Society and check out those profiling tools that are on their list to find out which ones work for you. Great as individual development tools, lots of information that you can use to develop and grow. Also fantastic when you're part of a team, because usually they will have information about the value that you add in terms of working with others. And also, when you use them in a team, normally you'll be able to create what they call a map of your team. Again, really, really important. This is a project team that I was working with recently in the construction sector. And we can see here, we can see where all the team members sit, and we can immediately identify that this team didn't have a lot of blue energy. And what we were able to do is work with that team to actually say, well, what can we do to overcome this challenge, you know, to make sure that risks are dealt with, that we have appropriate plans, that we have milestones in place. So really important, not only for individual team members understanding who their colleagues are, but equally looking at the overall team to see whether there are any challenges, and importantly as well, celebrating strengths. So we can see that this team here had a lot of strength in that green energy, and it was, how do we continue to use that to best effect? So profiling, if you don't use it already, really, really worthwhile, because it enables you to appreciate who's in your team. I don't know if you've heard the saying, there are no eyes in a team. That's a load of rubbish. There are many eyes in a team, as we can see on the screen now, lots of eyes. They are called individuals, and each of you has invaluable and unique technical and people skills that you bring to the team. So profiling enables you to celebrate those people skills, and importantly, celebrate diversity. These are just some of the quotes that I've had from teams that have used profiling to help them understand themselves and their team. So, you know, diversity, we talk about diversity a great deal in work settings these days. However, sometimes the real important diversity, which is behavioral diversity, in actual fact isn't talked about a great deal. Organizations tend to focus on different parts of diversity. So celebrating diversity, really, really important and useful when you're using these people skills profiles. So a top tip for you, as I said, I'd give you some tips throughout the session. First top tip here is, if you haven't done so already, create a matrix of people skills and technical skills. So very, very simple to do. Even if you don't use profiling at the moment, usually people will understand what people skills they've got and which ones add value to your team. So just think about that if you don't do it already. I've worked with many teams where people don't either understand their people skills or their technical skills, and really important that you document both of those, so that people in your team understand about their colleagues and how best to utilize those skills that they bring to the team. So if you don't do so already, I would suggest one of the things you could do with your team is create a people and technical skills matrix. So, brief overview of the importance of knowing who is in your team, both technical skills and people skills. But as we've seen, people skills account for 85% of success. So the second foundation of high performance teamwork is knowing how effective and efficient your teamwork is. And it's really important, those two words, effective and efficient, and I'll share something with you in a moment that will get the penny to drop. So 1992, back to my journey. I'd studied behavioral psychology. I'd used it with many teams, and it started to work and help me and help the team to appreciate who was in our team and play to people's strengths. And then I went on a leadership course in 2000 where we were asked a simple question: what is the difference between a group and a team? And that got me thinking that was another element of teamwork that I needed to study, I needed to understand. So the course was the spark of that passion then for teamwork. And over the next 14 years, I developed and created a model called Team Dynamics, which, as far as I'm aware, is the only model in the world that measures overall team effectiveness and 16 areas of teamwork and their effectiveness. So spent a lot of time developing that. 2014, it was born, and since then it's been used by many teams, both in the UK and further afield around the world. And this is the basis of the team dynamics model. And again, it links to that color behavioral people skills profiling that I shared with you previously. And we've first of all got 4 categories. So strategy, cooperation, engagement, and structure. The top 2, strategy and structure, are task related. Cooperation and engagement are relationships related. And I created 16 different areas. I studied and understood that there were 16 different areas of teamwork. And as you can see here, there's 4 in each of the 4 categories. So the 16 areas, I call them elements. They're elements of teamwork. And taking it further, there are some words that we can associate with these different 16 areas. Now, the reason I created it was quite simply based on my experience as a project manager, that in the majority of organizations, and certainly in projects, teams measure key performance indicators. And these usually relate to 3 different aspects: cost, quality, and time, to track performance. You'll see at the top, this model is called the iron triangle, sometimes the project triangle, or the constraint triangle, because these 3 different elements are constrained by each other. So, for instance, if you need more time to do something, invariably that will mean that your cost will be impacted. Certainly, if you need more quality in a project, in a product, time will expand to get that quality there. However, each of these 3 are directly affected by how effective and efficient your teamwork is. So this is where I thought there was something missing in terms of the tools that were available to project teams to help them succeed. So in terms of measuring the effectiveness of teamwork, again, looking at these polls that I did in August, some frightening things coming out here about the effectiveness of teamwork. Here we see 63% of teams don't measure it. 58% of teams don't know how to measure it. And the really worrying thing is the stat at the bottom that 15% of teams said they would be scared of the results, which is really, really worrying. Linked to those statistics, how much time do teams set aside to discuss and improve teamwork? And again, frightening, 3 in 10 teams rarely or never discuss their teamwork. So this model that I mentioned that does actually measure team effectiveness that I created. So it shows how effective overall the team is, and then it shows what is working well, the top 8 elements, and also what are the challenges that the team face, so the bottom 8 elements. So it acts as a benchmark, because if we know where we are at a particular moment in time, then we can understand it. And if we've got challenges, we can do something to overcome those challenges. So this team, as an example, were doing extremely well. They were in the good category, so not far off high performing. They were 1% below high performing, but they still wanted to do better. And they analysed their report, and we could immediately see that the category that was causing them a problem was top left, the structure category, which was standing at 80%. So they then dug down into the report and they had a look at the element data, and immediately, because they knew that the problems were in the structure area, they could hone in again and say it's to do with reflection and planning. And then digging down again to the granular information, they were able to look at specific answers that the team members are given to specific questions. And we can see here that the one that was causing them the most problem was in reflection, that the team didn't take time to reflect on their performance as a team. We can see there that over on the right hand side, it was ranked 48th because there are 48 statements in the report. So this was ranked the lowest. So the team were then able to start to have discussions about, well, what could they do to overcome these challenges that they themselves had said they had with their teamwork. So they were able to start looking at implementing solutions. And I said it's really important that whatever solutions you implement in your team, or any decisions that you make about your project, that you do them in an effective and efficient way, because some teams do one and not the other, and that causes problems. So whenever you are implementing solutions, another tip that I'd like to share with you is make sure that you are doing the right thing so it is effective. It actually aligns with the purpose of the project. And secondly, that you also check it out that you are doing it resourcefully, that it's not going to blow your budget or your cost constraints. So when I work with teams, I created this word that actually sums up both. When you are implementing solutions, it's about efficiency. So it's about doing the right things the right way. So again, I hope that makes sense and gives you food for thought in terms of when you are working together on your project or on your teamwork, make sure that whatever you decide to do, you keep thinking, is it effective, and also is it efficient? So team dynamics model born in 2014, 2022. Some of the teams that I work with on a regular basis said, have you got a book? Have you written a book that we could utilize in conjunction with the report? So we could analyze the report, and then we could read some material to help us implement solutions to make us more effective and more efficient. So 2020, I think we all remember that horrible thing called COVID, the pandemic. that gave me an opportunity and enough time to write Team Lead Succeed. And again, before I actually wrote a word, I went out to people that I knew in the project management community, in the operational community, and said to them, this is my idea for a book about teamwork. What would you like to see in it? So they came back and said, not too heavy on the theory. We want practical suggestions. We want stories of how other teams have worked effectively and efficiently. We want some humor in it as well. So that's how I created it. It's done well. It's done really, really well, I'm pleased to say. 98% of reviews to date have been 5-star. I had an email to say it's been recognised as a UK book of national interest. So when you publish a book in the UK, it has to go to the British Library. A copy resides there. But when it becomes a book of national interest, you also have to send it to the libraries of Scotland, Wales, the library in Dublin, and also the libraries at Oxford University and Cambridge University. And also it's unique in the fact that it's probably one of the only business books that's dedicated to a dog, because I wrote a lot of the ideas. A lot of the ideas came to me when I used to walk my dog. So I used to capture those in my phone and then write them up when I came back. And once the book was published, the teams that I worked with had copies of the book. They were able to then analyze their reports, their team dynamic reports, and implement solutions to make them more effective and efficient. So we can see here an example of a team. This was their first team dynamics results, 67%. Then they read the book, they implemented suggestions. Run 2, which was about 6 months later, because they wanted time to embed these solutions into their day-to-day activities. They then did a further run and a run 4. So eventually, by using the model, by reading the book, they increased their effectiveness by almost a quarter. They increased it overall by 23%. So great. They understood what they needed to celebrate, but also they needed to understand what wasn't working well and what they could do to implement solutions to make things better. So again, a tip for you. These are the 16 elements of teamwork in the model. The ones at the top I call the big 4: purpose, trust, planning, and collaboration. And I thought I'd give you a tip again that you can implement almost immediately with your teams, to do with purpose, which is the most important thing that you need to get right in your team. And frighteningly, 4 out of 10 team members say they don't know their team purpose. So a team purpose statement is simply, what does the team do? What does that enable? And what are the benefits? So your team exists to do something that enables other things to happen, and it results in something. So it should be, sorry, let's share back there. Share. Apologies for that. I hit the wrong button. Sharing again. Okay. So 3 elements to it. So it should be motivational. You should be able to tell somebody in 1 minute. You shouldn't use too much jargon, and therefore it should be understandable. So here's an example. I can't use any of my clients as examples. I've used my organization, my company. So Engagement Works is to provide team development solutions. So very, very top level, no intricate detail there. What does that enable? It engages individuals, motivates teams, and it helps them to transform and achieve even greater success. So do enable benefits. So top tip for you at your next team meeting, ask your team to individually write down what they think your team purpose is, and then ask them to share it. I think you'd be surprised at how many people will have different versions of the same story. If they do, what you need to do is collaborate and develop a team purpose statement that everybody buys into and commits to. So top tip there on team purpose. So the end of my journey, coming right up to date. So one of these teams that had used the team dynamics report and the model, and they read the book, one of them came up to me and said, suddenly, why couldn't we do this ourselves completely? Why do we have to call on you to produce the report? Could we not do it ourselves? So I went away and thought, that is an absolutely fantastic idea. The team owning the solution themselves. So in 2024, after 2 years of research and development, our team synergy has been born this year. And basically, it enables teams to produce their own reports, but really, really importantly, learn all about teamwork. So we've created a learning academy to enable individuals to learn about teamwork, then to be able to understand the report and facilitate it with their teams. And I like simple things, so it's simple as we've made it as simple as possible. You can use it from a desktop or a mobile. You create your team, you add your team members, you send out a questionnaire. They respond to the questionnaire. You can look to see who's completed it and who hasn't. And when everybody's completed it, you publish the report to see how effective your teamwork is. And then we've got the academy, as I said, which enables you to learn all about teamwork. So it helps you interpret the report. It's accessible. We've used a little bit of AI in it. It's self-paced, so you can take it at your own speed. And we're looking to develop community and social events as part of this so that we can learn off each other, which is really, really important. And the great thing about it as well is in 2024, LinkedIn have identified teamwork as one of the most in-demand skills. So again, it's adding value to individuals about their personal development and understanding of teamwork. And we created it so that you don't have to be a facilitator. You know, if you're not a facilitator, the Learning Academy helps you to understand how to facilitate easily and effectively. So a lot of work has gone into that. So in summary, in terms of your teamwork, these are the things that I would suggest that you consider. Be inquisitive about who's in your team. Think about measurement. Measurement is king because it enables you to understand things. Appreciate those people in your team. Celebrate the diversity of both technical skills and people skills that you've got. Understand how effective your teamwork is. And once you understand it, generate ideas to help you transform. And obviously remember to implement efficient solutions. And I think if you do all that, you and your team will achieve greater success. I've no doubt about that at all. So just a summary for you to think about. So a whistle-stop tour to get you thinking about teamwork in your project teams. This is the model that Jack mentioned earlier on that's been given my name. And here we can see the 16 different elements. It talks about tasks, it talks about relationships. In the middle is the team, and it talks about technical skills and people skills. So I hope that after this webinar now, that model makes sense to you. And I just wanted to leave you with something in terms of you as project, being in project management teams, in project teams. which is simply this. It's one of my quotes. You who work in the world of project management, you are the decision makers, you are the action takers of today, and really importantly, you are the change creators of tomorrow. So never forget that. As I said right at the start, I have a lot of admiration for those people who are in project management, because it can be scary, it can be tough, but when you get it right, it can be an amazing feeling, and you can undertake and create amazing results that helps your organizations, your customers, your clients. So never forget that. So thank you for inviting me to join you today, and also for you for joining me on this webinar, which I hope you found value from. I'd just like to say keep succeeding. And certainly, if you are on LinkedIn and you found this useful, I share lots of other stuff on LinkedIn about teamwork and achieving high performance teamwork. So please feel free to connect with me if you use LinkedIn as well. So thank you ever so much. And I think now, based on the time, we have got some time for any questions that have come in during the session. So I shall stop sharing my my screen and my slides.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Nick. That was absolutely brilliant. I don't know about sort of anyone else, but it's really interesting to sort of read the colours and sort of be like and instantly know where I sort of fall. I found that
Yeah.
really interesting. I have sorry, all my tabs have gone everywhere. I have prioritized some of the questions.
Okay.
Um, so I'll go from high to low. So I think a question that might be on a lot of people's minds as well. I certainly thought it. The online portal from our team Synergy. Um,
Yeah.
is it free?
No, it's not free.
Oh,
However, it is extremely cost effective. I've just done some statistical analysis, and in terms of the investment cost against the return you get in terms of improving your effectiveness percentages, it works out at about a 6-to-1 return. So, for every £1 of investment, you would get a return of £6. And that's based on teams that have used it already. I mean, if you want to delve into it a bit more, again, on LinkedIn, there is our team synergy page now, and we've put lots of information in there. We're actually running a webinar Thursday lunchtime to give people an overview specifically of that model.
brilliant. I think that sort of answers another question that came through about sort of has implementation of what you've covered into project delivery actually sort of added to the company's bottom line and the benefits and the profits to the company. I think you've just answered that one as well with sort of a 6-to-1 return on investment. Moving on, one I found quite interesting, and if I don't get rid of the comments box, it might be helpful. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? So do you find that where do most people fall into that color matrix, and do you find that there is a difference sort of between men and women?
Yeah, I've had that question before. In terms of men and women, no, there tends to be quite an even split in terms of gender. I do find that there are differences in team makeup based on either sectors or industries or particular types of profession that people work in. So I do find that a great deal. For instance, in project management, there tends to be a fair degree of blue energy, which is that process, the detail, the analysis. Quite often I see that. You find that also in accounts, for instance, solicitors, legal practices, you find a lot of green, blue. Sales orientated, you tend to find a lot of red, yellow because it's very fast paced. So different industry sectors, you tend to find people gravitate towards them with the appropriate people skills, because if our people skills align with the job roles, actually we feel motivated, because we can use our strengths.
Brilliant. I think that's a sort of it's really interesting to see that it's not gender. There's not gender differences, but it's sort of sector differences. Um, so another one that I thought was quite interesting. When you're setting up a team,
Yeah,
at what point do these profiles become helpful? So if you've got a team that has loads of experience and is already sort of already delivers, is that still applicable? Like, would you still
yeah.
sort of apply that model?
I've applied this, and teams have used profiling. Some use it to actually create the team, because they will think, okay, what is the overall project goals and our objectives, and based on those goals and objectives, do we need a lot of red, yellow energy, which is fast paced because it's a fast paced moving project? Do we not? Do we need a lot of technical expertise? In terms of that blue energy. So I've actually seen teams create their project teams based on the goals of the project and getting the appropriate people with the appropriate skills in place. Equally, I've seen teams use it as part of their forming process. When the project team is put together, they get profiled so that they start to understand each other better. And I've also used it where, unfortunately, teams have got into a conflict, and I've used it to actually help sort them out. Because a lot of the time, conflict is based on miscommunication, a lack of appreciation of diversity. And once you start using profiles, the penny drops is that, wow, this is why we're all different, and we are just different. We're not trying to be difficult. It's just that we do things in different ways. Years ago, I went out to Saudi Arabia. I did a 2-day workshop in the middle of the Saudi desert in 50-degree heat, in a Bedouin tent with 10 project managers from the UK, from France, and Germany, and they all hated each other. By the end of the 2 days and the profiling, they were best of buddies. So, yeah, it does work, and it works in different stages.
Brilliant. Um, do profiles change depending on the environment you're in and the people you're with? So, for example, whether you're at work or compared to when you're at home with your family.
Yes, yeah, it's we all have different behavioral heads, if you like. So we'll have a behavioral head that we take to work because we've got certain demands of our job put upon us. So it's about the ability to flex. Certainly, I'm different when I come home and I'm with my wife. My behaviours change slightly. I'm different when I go to the football with all my mates. So I have a different behavioural head then. I've got a different one when I'm with my grandchildren or when I'm with my kids. So yes, we tend to be able to tweak and flex our behaviors. So we won't change dramatically, but we are able to just put a different spin on things slightly. Um, and also over our lives, Carl Jung said that we try and be the wholest person we can. It's a process called individuation. So based on our jobs and our experiences over a period of time, we do change. Um, because we're always trying to expand our knowledge, our understanding, and be the best person that we can be.
Brilliant. I think that is time. I think that's a really good note to end it on. There is still a few questions that we didn't get to. So if it is all right with you, we'll send those across,
Yeah, not a
um,
problem.
and we'll get those answered for those that sort of didn't get the questions answered. But yeah, just a massive thank you from myself and everyone at the Southeast Regional Network, and as I'm sure as well goes for the same for everyone who joined us tonight. It's been really, really good.
Great. Thank you ever so much for the opportunity to share some of my 32 years knowledge.
I'm adamant there'll be other opportunities. So I look forward to getting involved again, Nick. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for hosting, Jack.
No worries. Thank you very much, everyone. I think we'll probably leave it there. And yeah, as I say, watch out for the questions that didn't get answered and for the slides.
Yeah.
Cool. Cheers, everyone.